is definitely my win for the week.
Awesome. Congratulations, Rob. I wasn't able to attend yesterday, but I did see the first one, and you're absolutely right. What a wealth of information Dr. DeMartini has. I mean, his material is awesome. And while we're talking about that kind of stuff, I just started listening this morning to the revised edition of Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. And I'm thinking back, it was mid 1980s when I first read that book. I started listening to it this morning on my walk, and that will be what I'm listening to for the next month, I would imagine.
Hold on.
Because
Now, Frank,
I thought you said
is it
unleash the
on?
man within, is it?
hold
Wait,
on a
wait, wait,
second. I can only do
wait,
one
wait.
at a time, guys.
Hold on,
Okay.
Yaniv. Is it something that we can listen to on audiobook, or is
Yeah,
this something that I have to purchase?
it's on audiobook. I did purchase it on audiobook.
Okay, that's great. Thank you,
And I
sir. And,
and I just ordered the hard copy to be delivered to me tomorrow.
beautiful. And I wanted to tell you also that if you have access to that Prosperity Council room, you have access to the replay.
Awesome. Nice.
All
Thank
right.
you very much. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Anybody else get a win for today? Well, good morning, Luis.
Big marketing win for my pet company. We launched a campaign on Sunday, and we have 75 people entering into our contest already by Sunday. So that's good. That represents about $40,000 worth of business. So that's great.
That's nice. Congratulations, Michael. Awesome deal.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce. That's what my kid used to say when she was in high school. Awesome sauce. Let's keep it moving. Yaniv, you were trying to share something in the middle there. What were you going to share?
No, just you mentioned the book, but I thought you just about to say Unleash the Man Within, which is my book, but you said Unleash the
Awaken the
Tony
giant within.
Tony
Yeah.
Robbins.
Yeah. And Tony Robbins, when you think about awaken the giant within, I think, what Napoleon Hill taught us was, it's the other self. It's the other self that's within each of us, right?
Yeah.
And just being able to recognize, energize that. And go ahead, give yourself a plug, Yaniv. Plug your book.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's on Amazon. You can find it on Amazon. But actually, I will if I send the link, or the link will come up on the UK link, so you have to transfer it on the US link wherever you are.
Okay. What's
Uh,
the name of it again, Yaniv?
it is Unleash the Mind Within. It's based on the 21 principles to transform your life. It's
Very
based
good.
on principles on Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor, El Nightingale, which is I've applied for myself over the years. And yeah, so anyone actually using those principles, combine all them together, it can actually achieve a lot of things in their life.
Okay.
Uh, there are some very good reviews of the book. One lady actually achieved a success in her life, which built a business from reading the book. And I have another one just 2 weeks ago, someone who's running a recruitment agency bought the book and she actually found it very interesting. So yeah,
Nice. Nice. Nice.
yeah.
So we have a couple of best-selling authors in the room. Michael Bridgman, Yaniv Golan on his way to being a best-selling author.
I'm
We
into
have
that.
a we have a martial arts champion in the room. Good morning, Luis.
Good morning,
He talked
sir.
about unleashing the monster. That's the guy right there. He unleashes the monster. All right. And I see Alex. Alex is here today. Awesome. Anyone else have a win they'd like to share? Luis?
Um,
I
Mine has
thought
been win after win after win. So it's back to school season. So for us, it's a wonderful season of the year. Signed up probably 4 or 5 kids the last week. So it's always wonderful. New kids, new opportunities, and some people are coming back. So yeah, it is. It is a good time of the year, and it's perfect because registration for my tournament in October. That event is going to start taking more and more time of my free time. Oh yeah, I do, I do, I do, I do. Remember that I told you that my goal, I think it was last week, I think it was in this room, that my goal was to create my business to work, my business to work without me being involved, right? Do
yes.
you remember? Well, I got another instructor back, so I didn't have to teach one single class yesterday.
I love it. I love it. I think Michael does a lot of talk about that, right? Having a business and
Lots.
getting yourself out of having to work in that business every single
Absolutely.
day.
And I did it before. It's just I had to go through, get complacent, get lazy, all that, get into the new comfort zone, right? Your
Yeah.
new standards become your new normal after a little bit. And then I lost it. I had to work, put systems in place, revamp systems and all that. This kid is going back to school. He cannot have a big job, and he's okay with a part-time job. I raised him, so now I have three instructors all the time, and they're
I love it.
rotating,
I love
and
it.
and I don't have to be there. I don't even have
Congratulations.
to be there Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations. Now
There you go, buddy.
don't go getting
That is the dream.
complacent. That is the dream. That's
Yep.
right. You show up when you want to. Exactly right. So I
Yep.
actually had a reflection recognition, partially thanks to Michael, partially thanks to my wife, reminding me of some of the things that I had to do when I was starting my real estate business. You guys have all heard me say, my special talent is shaking hands and kissing babies,
Yes,
and that
baby.
means you do things, personally, interactively, and so we're trying to fill seats. 13 seats for the 90-day transformation experience put on by the 17 Club. And we've got three potential applicants. They've said yes. They haven't paid the check yet, but it looks like they will. And yesterday was the first day where I committed to 50 personal messages on LinkedIn. So going through my entire contact list in LinkedIn of over 3,500 people and picking out the ones that deserved a message. So out of 50, I had five people say, yeah, no thanks, I'm good. I have one person that's scheduled a discovery call. We'll be meeting on Thursday. So why am I sharing that? That's not a big win. Yeah, it is. I think a big win anytime you realize that you already know what you need to do to build whatever it is that you want to have. You just have to reflect on the things that we've gone through in life. So many of us in this room, I mean, we're all old enough. We've enjoyed success. We've suffered through failure and challenges. We've got the stuff. We've got what it takes to get whatever we want. Just sit back, reflect, and okay, what I'm doing isn't working. What do I need to do that I used to do that I'm not doing anymore? Right? So that's my win for the day. So I got a question for you. As we go ahead, Yaniv.
I noticed that it's not a big goal, it's not a big success what you done, but every small steps are goal are success, man. Wherever it is, even it's a tiny steps, so you step forward to something.
Yeah, well, what a great point, Yaniv. You know what? Uh, Great for anybody who's in the room today, anybody who's listening to the replay when we put it out. Um, I think sometimes we say, we think wins are like a big deal.
Yeah,
A win could be something as simple as doing what you said you were going to do today.
just the tiny steps.
Just a tiny step. When you woke up this morning, you said, I want to get X, Y, Z accomplished. And then when you go to bed tonight, you got it done. I just did a video last week on my marine success traits, and the success trait we talked about was dependability. Can people depend on you? Are you dependable? Hey, let's change that question just a little bit. Can you depend on yourself to get done what you need to get done?
Hmm.
Right? And so that little win, as little as it may seem, is a promise that you kept to yourself. And that builds in turn your self-confidence and your abilities to do things moving forward.
Can I add to that, Frank?
Yeah, please do, Mike.
Okay, so there's a great concept in that huge book that I'm reading. This big 850 page brain operations manual book. Okay, by Chase Hughes. Incredible book. Very technical. If you don't like being a mechanic and pulling shit apart and seeing how it works, don't buy this book. He's got other books that are way easier to read. This one is it's like a 300 level chemistry course on how the brain works, right? So anyway, he talks about this idea of be your own butler. So he reframes BYOB and he says, be your own butler. And what a butler, he said, does is it thinks about what Yaniv wants tomorrow morning and says, what would Yaniv want tomorrow morning? Oh, he'd want to make sure his clothes are laid out. right? He'd want to make sure his coffee's ready to go. He'd want to make sure that, he had his protein shake or his exercise routine all set and things are prepped, right? What promises can you make today to your tomorrow self that you get to keep? Right? And it's such a great little concept of just going, what are you going to do tonight? What are you going to do this afternoon that helps your tomorrow person, yourself tomorrow, right? Have an incredible day. Be empowered to just crush it. Like, you're going to lay out your clothes in the morning. Are you going to make sure this gets done? Are you going to make your bed right as soon as you get up? That's a very military thing. It's very good to good. Got something done, right? So he talks about this idea of be your own butler, in the sense of going, what would your tomorrow self absolutely adore your today self to do for them? Do it.
Yeah.
Because that's one decision off the framework. It's one decision gone. It's one thing you've already done. And once that starts building into a habit, you realize you're actually living in tomorrow and today at the same time.
Very good point.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Michael. And you know what? The beauty of it is, yeah, just do it, right? Nike said that decades ago. Just do it. Well, just do what? Well, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is you want to accomplish, just do something for it. My little win that I just shared with you wasn't a big deal. But what would I have today if I didn't do any of that yesterday? I wouldn't have had the opportunity to have 5 people say no to me. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to have that one person schedule an appointment with me. I would be right back where I started yesterday morning at 0. Right? So just picking something to do and doing it.
W.A. Clement Stone always used to have this law, do it now.
Do it now.
Do it
Yeah.
now. And it's
Yeah.
always stuck in my mind, do it now.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's do it tomorrow. Let's do it later. No, now.
procrastination
Do
is
the
the
phone call
killer.
now. You need to do the email, do the email now. You need to go out and
Exactly.
do something, do it now. Because later on or tomorrow, something else can come up which can replace what you need to do that specific.
Oh hell, when you get to be my age, you can't even remember what you said you wanted to do.
Just write down.
Well, if you don't do it right now and you can wait till tomorrow, is that really important? Are you making it a priority? Are you making it important to you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, so many people say they want to do things, but they don't make any plans to get it done. They don't start the process. If you don't start the process, you can't build the momentum. If you don't build the momentum, you can't achieve the success that you want.
That's that exactly what we covered in that time management versus focus management
Yeah.
in the
Right.
whiteboard session, right, Frank? And I put that up on YouTube now. So if anyone wants to go check it out, it's on YouTube. That
Yeah.
section of the whiteboard is, at least that
Yeah.
last 30 minutes or so.
Do you
But
know
yeah,
what
we
is that
talked
reminds me,
specifically about that.
Michael, as well? A lot of people want to have a change, but they're not willing to put the change in place.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is so funny to me, but it's so true, right? We often believe in the what do they call it? The training montage of the movies, right? Like like the superhero learns that they can do this amazing thing and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's great." 90 seconds later, they've mastered it. They take 6 months of training and condense it down to 90 seconds, right? And it's like that, but that's, it's like Rocky's actually training for about 2.5 minutes in the movie, right?
Yep.
He goes from wanting to be a boxer to being a superhero in about 2.5 minutes.
Yep.
And so it's like we got to remember, like, this that's not the way it actually works. And yet so many people are, as you said, Yaniv, they're going, I want this. Why isn't it arriving? Right? Frank wants the book. It arrives tomorrow. Like, that's kind of incredible. And it's
Yeah.
not the way, and our brains can't keep up with that. Like, it's our deep wiring does not, it wants something immediately, but that's just not the way the actual brain works, right? It takes a while to reform pathways in the mind about who you are, your beliefs, the stories you're telling yourself, what you think those stories mean. That takes time to rewire all those pieces together. And then, neurons that fire together wire together. So then you got to repeat the process over and over and over again because you chose a different path 6 years ago and you've been doing that path.
Yeah. Whenever people talk, Mike, you're sharing ideas, about creating a path and following a path. The vision that I have in my mind, I read it in a book many years ago, was, think about that path that goes down to the beach. It wasn't there initially. And
Mm-hmm.
then, maybe Michael took a stroll down there one day and he kind of laid down the grass a little bit. And I come by the next day and said, "Oh, what's that?" and I start to follow that path. And then maybe Luis comes behind me and Rob comes behind me. And all of a sudden, that path becomes a trail. So every time you do that, you dig that trail just a little bit deeper to the
Yep.
point where some trails last for decades, as long as one or two people every once in a while walk on it because it was beaten down for such a long period of time. And that's the same thing we do with our mindset. We decide on the habit that we want to create. We start, which is never easy. That's the hardest part is getting started. And then just continually doing it until it just becomes part of the process, as they say in Canada. We say process in the United States, right? But at the end of the day, it's it's just getting started. Start. Most of us brushed our teeth this morning. We didn't even think about it. We just did it in the same sequence that we've always done it. We all have our morning routines. We all have our routines throughout the entire day. And those routines, a lot of people, so I've been criticized oftentimes, not criticized in a bad way. Well, you're a Marine. You were trained to be disciplined, right? And of course, self-discipline is one of the principles that we studied, right? But discipline, when people think about discipline, they think about pain. They think of being boxed in. They have to do things a certain way, you know? Well, when I think about discipline, I think about freedom. I think
I
about
think of
freedom because my discipline, the things that I've created in my life, it frees up I don't have to think about things. There's just certain things I do every single day. I don't even think about it. My exercise routine, my diet routine, it's a routine. It's a discipline that was created over time. So I'd like to use that as a segue into one of our topics today because we've got two things that we need to talk about today. We are going to wrap up the seven ghosts of fear, and we're going to start with the fear of loss of liberty. Now, everyone in the room that I can see that's on screen, we've all read the book Think and Grow Rich. We were all introduced to the six ghosts of fear. I didn't know for a long time that there was a seventh ghost. And that seventh ghost is the fear of loss of liberty. So I'd like to ask you guys in the room, when I say the word liberty, what does that mean to you? When you hear the phrase loss of liberty, what are you losing? Anybody?
A loss of hope.
Okay. Okay. Why do you say that, Rob?
What I think about when you say liberty, I think of freedom. And then when I think of freedom, if freedom's no longer there, that hope is gone. That's why I say a loss of hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for expanding on that. Exactly. Loss of freedom, loss of hope. That word freedom, it can be tied to a lot of different things, right? Freedom of choice, freedom of independence, freedom of thought, freedom to build our own lives the way that we want to live. So, see, when I first read the word loss of liberty, I thought of that as okay, someone's being imprisoned. And when you're being imprisoned, someone has taken away your right to do certain things, right? And so loss of liberty, as we discuss it today, what are you being chained down to? What are is it your financial freedom? Is your freedom to do whatever it is that you want to do? In my listening to Tony Robbins' book this morning, he talks about, we have the freedom to do whatever we want. If you're doing something today that you do not like, why are you doing it? You don't have to do it. Nobody is forcing you to do what it is you don't want to do. Luis, I saw you take it off mute. Go.
The programming is making you doing it.
Your programming is making you do it.
Yeah, for a little bit, I was sabotaging myself. I want to be a coach. I want to have this business, help more people, being able to travel, doing all these things. But in the back of my head, and that's when Dr. Joe comes to mind, counter intentions, right? I was a prisoner of, but I cannot let go of my karate school. I still have to teach. I need to go and teach karate. How am I supposed to go and travel and leave for a week or two if I can't leave to teach? So I was putting myself into this, and it was for a little bit. It felt some kind of between guilt, not worth, not be worthy to, enjoy, expand, to grow, all that. And I realized, the fuck, Luis, you are programmed to stay there. It's safe, you get your recognition, you know what's going to happen, you get certainty, you get contribution, you get all these things that you get. But something inside is telling me that I want more. I deserve more. But that paradigm, right? So I that's what I'm going to. That's what I'm getting from that liberty.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you're saying though, what do you ask?
We hand off our freedoms to the decisions of other people. If we go back to some of the other things that we've talked about under the seven ghosts of fear, the ghosts of, the fear of criticism, the fear of poverty, all of these things, people impose those fears upon us, right? When you start off on a new venture and perhaps you have to invest a certain amount of money to get started. How many people around you said, really, you're gonna risk that money? What if you lose it? What if you lose the money? Then what? Why don't we turn that around and say, well, what if I multiply the money? Instead of what if I lose it? What if I make it more? What if it doubles, triples, quadruples, right? Looking at it from a different perspective and put that fear aside and say, no, I'm going to have faith. Remember this topic that we've been discussing now for, I think this is the fourth week, the ghosts of fear. This topic is part of the chapter on applied faith. And applied faith is simply saying, you know what? You can do this. If you believe in yourself, you can do this. And here's all the things that are going to happen to try to convince you that you can't do it. But you can do it if you have faith. Not if your wife has faith, not if your uncle has faith or your father has faith. If you have faith, you can do it.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody have any comments about that? Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, but it is faith, 100% faith in you. But we have to have faith that grace is coming our way, that there's something out there. Yeah, of course, it's me. I'm going to try to communicate it, right? But also believe, have faith that everything that is out of my control is going to get in alignment. That sooner or later is going to happen. So that is, to me, that's true faith, because I can believe in myself and get up at 5 in the morning and run and get ready for that competition. But always, it is hard for me to put in words, but I always knew there's something out there looking out for me, helping me to make things happen. It is hard for me to put it in words. And that started happening even better when I surrendered, when I said, I know I want it, but I'm going to do whatever you want me to do.
Yeah.
I am not going to put any more resistance. I 100% believe in God. That day, everything in my life started changing. And even I felt things like a weight out of my shoulders, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
I think that
weird.
makes
I get, but
no.
to me, it came with that faith.
It's not weird at all, Luis. It's the belief in infinite wisdom. Whatever it is you want to call it, right? I don't care if you read the Bible, the Quran, whatever it is. It's just believing that there's a bigger thing. There's something bigger out there, right? And I personally, every night when I go to bed, I said, look, just give me guidance and direction on how I can use the talents and skills that you've bestowed upon me to inspire and positively impact the lives of others. I say that every single freaking night. And I'm going to continue. So when I wake up in the morning and I get this hunch to do something, or I wake up in the morning and you guys show up in the room and we have these conversations, or I walk out the door before I go for my next appointment, which is golfing, by the way. My wife might make a comment to me on the way out, and I register all these things because maybe there's a message there telling me I should be doing something. And everything, like you said, just letting go. It's out of my control. Whatever you want to do with me, do with me. Just show me the way. Right? And whatever that means, how does that impact you, right? Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I to kind of riff off what Lewis was saying there for a second. The way I felt it, Lewis, is that it's like a lot of people feel like they're climbing towards their goals. But when you realize you can actually fall towards your goals. And it's a very different feeling, right? When you realize, hang on a second, I feel like I've been climbing at something and there's so much effort, right? And I'm climbing. When you realize the objective is actually, it's just right there. And as much as a lot of people are going to listen to this and say, like, what the heck are you talking about? As Lewis said, when you surrender to the asks, right? When you go, okay, this, like, every part of me right now is saying this is the right choice. This is the right thing to do. And to put it out there, that doesn't mean that you don't question it. A lot of people think that if I question it, that means it's wrong. No, 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 no. That's not true. That's your brain doing what it's supposed to do. Thrill me or kill me, right? Like your brain is deciding, right? It's got to make this choice. It's going to think about these things, but you push them aside because you have an instinct that this is the right path. And so when you surrender to that, I feel like you fall towards your goals. You hurtle towards them, right? Like you move towards them rather than climb towards them. And as much as we use this climbing analogy all the time, I think it's actually quite empowering, Lewis, to think about the idea of falling towards them, because then you can surrender, you know? And, we'd mentioned at the beginning, even small wins are important, right? Frank, you were mentioning small wins of stuff like
Yeah.
that. But that's what faith is, right? It's this buildup of the fact that, no, 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 I did that yesterday. I showed up, I made my bed, whatever it was, like I did the disciplined focus yesterday. That is you in practicing faith, right? You're doing something today that makes tomorrow a better day. For you, for the people around you, for everybody you affect, you're doing something today that makes tomorrow better. And I think that is, in essence, the push-ups of faith.
Yeah, Michael, I just want to pull out something you just said because it's so powerful. What can I do today that will make tomorrow better? What can I do today that's going to make tomorrow better? Can you ask yourself that question every single day? What can I do today to make tomorrow better? And that tomorrow better is different. It's something, actually, Michael, you said it during our whiteboard meeting. Maybe it was that, maybe it was last week, I can't remember. But it was like, not what do you want, but what do you want it to look like later? Right? What do
What
you
do I
want it to
want
look
to
like?
have happen?
Yeah. Yeah. What
Is
do
the
I want
word
to
there.
have happen?
What do I want to
And
have
if yeah, what do I want to have happen? And what can I do right now to cause that to happen? It's all
and
cause and effect.
that's right. And so things like, I want my wife to walk into the room and look at me like she did 20 years ago. Right? That's not an altruistic goal. That's an I want to feel hot and sexy again as a, 37-year-old guy. So what do I have to do today to make that happen? Right? Like this is microdosing faith and discipline, my friends. That's what this is. Right?
Yeah.
It's not done in some great huge Herculean one-time effort and then it doesn't happen again, right? Like this is constant application of trust in yourself applied brick by brick, stone by stone, pebble by pebble.
And you
And
have the liberty to do that. Think
yes,
about it. You have the liberty
and
to
I
do
get
that.
the
You have the
liberty to do that.
freedom to do that. You have the freedom to do that. Whatever it is you want to do. If you're me, short, fat, and ugly. Okay. All right. Well, you're at liberty to change that. All right, maybe I can't change my height. Yeah, I could. I could get elevated heels, right? I mean, you're at
We could
liberty
do
to
that stretch
change.
thing where you suspend from your ankles.
Hang upside down, exactly
Yeah,
right. See if it works. Or we used to do it with pull-ups, just hang on the bar. Maybe they'll stretch that spine out a little bit, right? Yeah. But we have the liberty to change whatever it is we don't freaking like. So when we talk about loss of liberty, that's giving up that right.
I think it's
If you
control for
choose,
me, Frank.
yeah, I like that. It's control. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. You have the
Yeah,
control to
I
do
have the
whatever you
control.
want.
I can
And
put
if
my
you,
hands on the wheel of my own
yeah,
life.
yeah, and I
That's
think
what freedom is to me.
exactly. And I think, a couple of weeks ago we talked about the two envelopes that Napoleon shared in his story that we're all born with two envelopes by our side. In that little swaddle that they wrapped up us in, there was two envelopes stuck in there. And one envelope said, if you take control of your mind, here are all the rewards and riches you can have. And the other one says, if you choose not to take control and give that up to someone else, here's a list of all of the suffering and losses that you will go through because you chose to neglect the power, the control, as Michael puts it, the freedom to think for yourself. right? Powerful conversation. How much of your sense of freedom comes from the circumstances around you, and how much comes from your mindset, your own personal mindset, right? Anyone have any comments about that before we move on to the final fear?
Well, I've been learning to do that more and more coming from me and less from circumstances,
Yeah.
and stop playing victim with the world and create my own circumstances. It's
Yeah,
been a slow,
yeah.
painful process in one way. Painful because you realize, my God, for how long I could have done this, right? But other than
Yeah.
that, yes.
Yeah, and what a great concept that is, Luis. All of us at different ages, right? You see an opportunity and you say, oh, no, I'm too old to do that, right? Goes into all these fears, right? Well, what if you do nothing? And I said it just a little bit earlier. What if I chose to do nothing yesterday? I would have the same as I had yesterday, nothing. So regardless of who you are, where you are, what you are in your life right now, you get to make a choice, accept it or change it. If you're happy, whew, go for it. If life is good and you're living the life that you want to live at the level that you want to live it and serving the way you want to serve, God bless you, you got it. But if you don't, and you look in the mirror, you look at the bank account, you look at all of the things that kind of give us this awareness of where we are, and you're not happy, what the hell are you going to do about it? You're going to leave it up to Michael or Stefano or someone else? You're going to leave it up to someone else? What are you going to do about it? So it's retaking that liberty, that freedom, that control that we all have. We all have it. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, the great thing about this too is really where are we focusing? As Napoleon Hill says, that whatever the mind can conceive and believe will achieve. And are we allowing ourselves to be oppressed or suppressed, or are we focused on the things that we don't want? Are we focused on oh, it isn't happening in the manner I wanted it to happen? So we're focused on the how. And sometimes people don't feel liberty because it's not happening how they envisioned it happening, or different areas that just aren't happening at the speed we want it to happen. And how do we really just continue to move forward with persistence? And the idea is shifting away. How do we change? Are we willing to
Yeah.
change? Are we what we're doing, and also change the strategy so that way we can have the thing that we want, so we can look at it differently and feel differently about it. And that's the liberty I think that we all, I can speak for myself, I aspire to that type of liberty. I'll say
And
it that way.
Phil, I'm chuckling as you're talking because I'm thinking about it as you're just saying, we keep trying to do this, keep trying to do this, keep trying to do this, and maybe it comes from a different direction, right? And I'm envisioning the fly that's trying to get out the window, and the
Yeah,
window's
oh,
closed, and he
you
just
squared.
keeps
Absolutely.
beating his head
Love
against
that.
and the freaking door's open right over there, but he just keeps beating his head up against the when being aware of what's going on and what it is that we need to do to change, or the adjustment we need to do to make it
Many are
work.
stubborn in pursuit of their actions, few in pursuit of their goals.
Yes, they are. Said in a better way, if you keep doing the same thing you've always done, you'll always get the same thing you always got, right? Sometimes you just got to open your freaking eyes to what's going on around you and make that adjustment, right? Yeah. Anyone
Yeah,
else?
Bob Proctor had that 333 story where basically there's two sides of the T square, and we focus on only how we can do it. Many ways can do it. Or are we focusing on how we can't do it and all the obstacles? We have a problem to every solution or not? So yeah.
Yeah. Michael
I,
shares a great quote in the chat. He says, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. That's a quote from Rumi, right? Yeah, it's the
Mhm.
only thing we have control over. This is it. This is the only thing we have control over. You don't control me, I don't control you. It's the only thing we have control over. We
And so
control
when
ourselves.
freedom is taken away, right, that's the thing you lose control over. Someone else is telling you what to think, where to go, what to do, right? It's like Viktor Frankl. He's in I think he was in Auschwitz,
Yes.
right? And there he is looking at the guards and he says, "I am freer than you." My body may be imprisoned, but my mind is far freer than yours because I get to choose what I do here and you don't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's a man, they couldn't break him.
Think about that. Yeah, just think about that. That's called mindset. Mind control, controlled his own mind. And that reminds me of the story about the POW from Vietnam. He was a pilot. I can't remember his last name, but he was a pilot and he was taken POW. He spent like 8 years in a POW camp.
Right.
And every day in his cell, he was playing a round of golf on his favorite golf course.
Just
He
visualize.
gets released from the prison, comes back to America, goes to his favorite golf course and plays a game, a round of golf at the same level that he played it before he was imprisoned 80 years earlier, because he did it all up here every single day. The power of the mind. Think about Yanni. What's the name of your book? Unleash what?
The mind within. You gotta unleash the mind within, not from the outside.
Tony Robbins' book, right? Awaken the mind within, right? Or the giant
The
within.
giant.
I mean, it's right here. It's right freaking here. All we
Can
have to
I,
do is take control of it.
Frank, Phil put
Yeah,
something in the chat that I think is indicative of one of the challenges, though. How many people could be
sure.
like that POW camper Victor Franco in the circumstances? And I think, Phil, you got to look on the other side of the T that you just talked about. The answer is everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Because your question was how many people could.
Could
We
be
all
like
could.
them.
We
How
all
many
could.
will do it? Few,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But how
And
many
and
could? All of them.
and thank you for that, Michael. Because I also want to go back to something Phil said earlier about Napoleon Hill's quote: "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe." He didn't say they will achieve. He said they can achieve. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, they can achieve. Because nothing guarantees that you will achieve anything except for your decisions in life, your faith in your abilities, doing the work, taking the actions, setting the goals. We have to do it. So it's not, if you do it, doesn't mean it will happen. You have to have faith that it will happen, and just continuous action will get you there. Right. So I love that. Great conversations here. And we go into the final fear. What's the final fear? The fear of death. Who here controls the day they die? Anybody? Who knows? Everybody take your shoes off, look at your feet. Is there an expired stamp on your foot that tells you what day it ends? Michael's going to look. He's following instructions. Not there. Yet the fear of death can become so powerful that it prevents all of us from actually living. How many people do you know don't do things because they're afraid of what might happen?
Yeah.
They don't climb the mountain because they're afraid they might fall
Again.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yaniv, I love what you did. Thank you for reminding me. Michael talked about the fear, falling, the fear of falling. What was it, Michael? Yeah, it's okay to fall, right?
Yeah.
And we all know that, by the way, because we all learned how to walk by falling. So we all know that. That's just
You
the way
don't
it
know how
works.
to raise up after falling.
Yeah, and John Maxwell wrote a great book called The Fear, Failing Forward. We can't progress, we can't grow, we can't do anything without taking a risk of failing,
Exactly. Yeah.
making a mistake. Everybody in this room has made a mistake. By the way, we're all still here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody in this room has made many mistakes, not just one. We've all made many, and we're
Well,
all
the guy
still
on the
here.
golf course, though, Frank, I mean, that's something to be said about the fact that, but practice in your mind first. If you're afraid of failing when you do it in front of someone for the first time, then do it up here for a
Yeah,
long time first. I mean, I was a professional actor for many years. You don't get on stage in front of an audience having never read the script. It's called rehearsal,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, and what about that statement that's been around for eons, right? Learn from other people's mistakes. We're not the first ones to try to do the stuff we're trying to do. Somebody else has already done it. So why don't you read the book, study the history, learn what that. Hey, whoa, where's mine? Where's mine?
Does that dog deliver coffee?
I love it. But everything that's been, everything gets done. Somebody has gone before us. Somebody has traveled the path. That path to the beach that we talked about. Somebody had to take those first steps. Everything that we want to do in our lives is possible. We may be the first one to do it. Good. Then we get to show the way. And we're going to have to make lots of mistakes because that's what happens. Edison, what, 10,000 failures before he figured out the secret to the incandescent light bulb? I mean, somebody has to do it. But when it's already been done and you want to take that vision and make it better, then just follow the path. Find out what's already been done. Let's do something else. But we're talking about the fear of death. Why does it scare us so much? Anyone?
That could be a really deep question too. It's
Yeah.
Sometimes if we're facing what we did not do in life, death is looking right at us to hold us accountable. Perhaps we have regrets what we didn't do, not the regrets that we did, but the regrets of the things that held us back. And why did I do it this way? I mean, I think we see it too a lot. People who they might reach into their 50s and also they're experiencing, I can't change because no one's going to hire me at my age, and retirement's just 15 years away, and I'm just going to retire because society says, oh, you retire, you work 45 years, and then we're going to depend on the government to say this is going to be your, your program. Again, there's loss of liberty within that too, and there's so many of those different things that um, Bob Proctor's quote keeps on coming up. People just they die when they're 22, or they're just waiting to you know have the grave dug for them or whatever, that type of thing. And how do we just continue to have life and really thrive? Otto von
Yeah.
Bismarck, when he came up with the retirement at 65, 98% of people didn't even make it to age 60. So let's bring that to a modern equivalent too. Who
Yeah.
says we
Yeah.
can't live to 130 if we're
Yeah. There
creative?
once was a day when retirement wasn't even an option, right? You just
It wasn't.
continued to do. Yeah, you just woke up every morning. You did what you did, whether
Yeah.
you were a farmer or a cattle guy, a cowboy, or whatever you did. You just get up every day, did your job, did your
You
stuff.
didn't tend to the field, you don't eat. If you don't
Yeah,
eat, then you die.
that's right. When it's done, it's done. Olivier, welcome to the group. Go ahead, my friend.
Thank you very much. Inachigal say that it is very easy for a man to think negative than positively. Please, can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay,
Yeah, we can hear you.
okay. Yeah, I was saying that Inachigal say that it's very easy for a man to think in negative terms than a positive ones. So a mind that is empty of a definiteness of purpose, of ambition, is likely to think to all kind of negative terms, comprised of fear of death. So whenever there's nothing to do, the man energy fall into the very low frequency where there's a fear, there is a doubt, there is a anger, any kind of negative energy or frequency. But whenever he has a positive definiteness of purpose, which every day is giving him energy to move forward, his energy begin to grow up because he's connecting on higher frequency, which avoid him to think in negative terms.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this
Olivier,
is one cause of fear of death
a
and
hundred
how it
percent 100% it goes to being having a purpose, right? And you
yes.
got the definiteness of purpose. We all have to have a purpose. What's your purpose? And when you stop having a purpose and you're just kind of coasting, then you're just heading towards death. You're not living for anything. I've got a note here that I took in preparation for today. Napoleon Hill's philosophy repeatedly directs attention toward purposeful living, right? So what we're talking about today, purposeful living, rather than fearful anticipation. We cannot control the length of life, but we have tremendous influence over its depth, contribution, relationships, and meaning. Applied faith shifts attention away from how much time do I have toward what will I do with the time I have. So it kind of flips the concept, right? It's not how much time do I have, it's what do I do with the time. And that's what Phil was introducing. And that's what Olivier was just compounding on, is the fact that if we don't have a purpose, if we don't use the time we have, then we're simply wasting the time. So we might as well just be dead.
Definitely true. And also, something that is very important, Napoleon Hill said that maybe death even can be overcome by faith. He said that in his book in Think and Grow Rich. Maybe death can be overcome by faith one day. Who knows?
Who knows? That's the
So,
thing, right? We don't know.
yeah.
We don't know. Who knows what happens when the lights go out?
Mm.
I have no clue. I mean, we have thoughts and visions that we've been taught, that society has taught us. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Elon
So
Musk, for example,
why? So
is
another thing
developing.
Napoleon says, Olivier, is
Yeah,
why waste time fearing something that you have no control over?
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Olivier, do you have something else? Go ahead.
Yes, Elon Musk is developing a ship which in the next 10 years, whosoever gets it can increase his level of life, his longevity, because he identified that death is caused also by the decreasing of the function of our organs. So it's like a sickness. So whenever we are healed from this, man can live longer. And we know that a man that is engaging in energy, activity, thinking, positivity is like restoring his energy, engaging his energy into something positive. And this is making him better. So it's very important to have a definiteness of purpose and being eager to make it happen with joy, enthusiasm, and happiness. Very important.
Yeah, I just as you're speaking, I'm reading Michael's comments in the comments. It says the unknown, it's goodbye. For me, it's all Aerosmith. I love it. I'm a big Aerosmith fan. I saw Aerosmith before they were Aerosmith, right? I'm from the part of the country they come from, and it's part of the organized religion's most important promises. Yeah, yeah, promises. You know, as I'm reading my note on my big screen, I'm going to make it part of something that hangs on my wall. How much time do I have? Let's change that to what will I do with the time that I have? Well, you know, what a great way to approach each day. Because
What
we
do I
don't
want to
know.
have happen?
Yeah, you know, we don't know. Today may be your last freaking day, by the way. Any one of us. So what are you going to do with what you got? Let's not worry about how much we got. Let's do what we can with what we got. That's the key. Yaniv, go ahead.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that you got something on the wall. I've got something on my wall here that every time I come to my office here, I've got this wonderful thing in big. It says, never give up on the person you're destined to become, no matter how difficult the journey will get. And
Yeah,
that hits me every time I get a little bit low, I get a little bit of frustration and things, and say, this is not gonna work. And then what happens? Paradigm stuff, changing your mindset, and then you start thinking about this.
yeah,
Never give up. Never
yeah,
give up on yourself, on your soul, on your destiny. And that is so powerful for me, and I'm sure for many of us here, that we work so hard on things and we can't see things are progressing. But like you mentioned, Frank, every small every small thing you do is a small step to success,
right.
right? And this is very, very powerful. So I just wanted to share that never give up on the person you're destined to become,
Yeah, I think it
no
was
matter how difficult.
One of Winston Churchill's famous quotes, right? Never, ever, ever give
Never,
up.
never, yeah,
Never
yeah,
give up, right?
never give
Never,
up.
ever.
Because
Just keep
I
getting
knew
up.
many people give up, especially on their lives. They give up on their dreams, and they give up on even on their lives. And that's a sad thing that we think about, that when you have no purpose in life, you're gonna living to live, purpose in living.
Right. Right. Yeah. So it goes to what Olivia was saying, to what Phil Conway was saying, is having a
Yep,
purpose. You know,
yep,
identifying what it is that you want, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want things to look like all around you? And just take an action today. What action? can we take today to make that happen? Go ahead, Luis.
Well, to me, it's a waste of time to be thinking on what can happen and or like what's going to happen after to me. Like, what's going to happen when I die? I don't give a shit right now.
That's
Dead.
true. That's absolutely true. I agree with you, Luis. Because you come
It
into
won't be your
this without
problem.
nothing.
You
You
won't. Yeah,
come to
you
this
won't even
world
know.
without nothing, and
We
you go
won't.
out
None of
in
us
it.
will know.
And what happens afterwards? Right now, I don't give a shit either because I don't know what's going on the other side. So I've learned exactly what you said, Frank. Maximize the time and opportunities that I have at this moment and live life under my terms
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
as
another
look,
much
leader,
as I can.
yeah,
like another leader, FDR said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." Well,
there
that's
you go.
Napoleon Hill speaking through Roosevelt. And
Yep.
here's a fear that we have to.
Mhm.
People fear the fear because they didn't live life in their own way. They were they drifted, and because they
Mhm.
drifted,
Yes.
org-
Well,
organized religion might have them live in a fear because they got to be fear of this judgment and all this kind of stuff that's out there.
well,
Like
fear
Luis
is one
just
of the
said,
biggest motivators in life, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, fear of missing
So,
out. Yeah,
but
FOMO.
we're
I
going a
think,
little deep into. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
well, what I was going to say is that to me, the fear that keeps a lot of entrepreneurs and creative people stuck is the same fear of death, right? It's the unknown. You don't know whether what you're putting in is going to have the result that you want on the other side. It's the exact same words. I don't know whether all this marketing I'm doing, whether all this work I'm doing, whether all this time I'm investing is going to produce the result on the other side. Edison didn't know how many times he had to rebuild the light bulb before he achieved his success. He didn't know, right? That's one of the reasons people stay stuck, frankly, is that they don't, is that they don't know whether what they're investing is going to produce what they want. And I think part of the fear of death is the same thing. Have I made the right choices? Have I lived the right way that when it is over, right? Does my spirit move on to a different realm? Did I do the right things today to make sure I'm in the right place tomorrow? Right? So it's that same theme over and over again. You're doing today something that you hope, you have faith that it's going to produce what you want on the other side. And to me, fear of death is the same as fear of any creative venture. You don't know what the result's going to be, and you don't know when it's going to happen. And so all you do is work at your focus today, work at crafting, building that whatever you've been blessed with, that dream into reality today, because you don't know whether you get it tomorrow or not. But I think that's the lesson. For me, that's what courage is about. It's about doing it anyway.
Feel the
Right?
fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, loving to do it anyway, because whether it produces the result tomorrow that I wanted or not is actually totally secondary to the type of person that's required to get it done. So if I live like that person today, then I check the box. I did what I was supposed to do. I don't know whether what I'm doing for my kids is going to raise them into great kids or not, but I've got to do it today. I don't know because, man, I mean, Alex is 8, so 10 years before he's an adult, right? And I kick his ass out of the house. So like I don't know what's going to happen, and that's an 18-year process. You know what I mean? Like
That's it.
you're not given the gift of that future in clarity. You're given the vision of you're given that gift of the future in your dream, in your
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Michael. And and the vision, I come up with these stupid visions when you guys are talking. So the vision in my mind, Michael, as you were just sharing all of that, is I'm on the ice skating rink in my hometown of Nashua, New Hampshire. And we've got 8 of our best friends all piled up on the ice, laying down on top of each other on the ice to kind of create a pyramid. And our goal was to jump over those people. Right. So just think about the process, right? They're
Yep.
they're stupid enough to lay there
They're
and
stupid
have
enough with
faith in the
skates on.
fact that I'm going to be able to jump over their bodies. And you know what? And the first time I do it, I made it over, but I landed flat on my ass, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that hurt. Why don't we reopen the eyes of that 8 or 9 or 10-year-old child, Reopen the eyes. You jumped. You missed. You landed on top of the pile. And what did you all do? You were all laughing your freaking asses off.
Yeah.
You failed. What's so
Failure's fun.
damn funny? You got a bruised, what do they call that thing at the base of your spine? It's hurting, right? But at the end of the day, you tried, you failed, and guess what? I'm next to try it again. And you get
Yeah.
back in the freaking line for all the people that were doing the same stupid things you were doing.
You
Where
bruised
did
your
that-
coccyx, Frank.
Thank you. Yes, I bruised my coccyx. Where did that energy go? Where did that faith go? Where did that freedom go to allow us to do whatever it is we want to do, no matter how stupid we look when we land flat on our coccyx? I love it. Go ahead, Olivia. You've been patient. You've had your hand up.
Thank you very much. Yesterday I was reading about sex transmutation in Think and Grow Rich, and I come across one sentence that make me thinking. Napoleon Hill said that the man's sexual maturity arrives around 50 years, 50. I say, what? Around 45 and 50 years. That means our biological function continuously increasing, evolving. Why should now the young men think dying is not normal? Because they're still growing. And here in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon, he said that the habit of thinking about dying instead of making the most of life due generally to lack of purpose or lack of suitable occupation is one symptom of the fear of death. So
Yep.
it's clearly stated we have to occupy ourselves with something that is vibrant, giving us energy, and not thinking about dying because people are thinking about dying. That's where the fear of death is coming. We are
Right.
thinking, maybe consciously or unconsciously, we are drifting in toward the fear of death. And we
Yeah.
should stop that and replace it
Yes.
by
Yes.
energy, by
And
occupation. Yes.
and that is our responsibility. Everybody in the room, that is our responsibility to, in our own little worlds, share the information that we're talking about here. You know, Olivia, what stood out to me when at the beginning of what you just said was yesterday I was reading. Boom. What was he reading about sexual transmutation? Huh? We're every one of us in the room. I'm confident everyone in this room reads something every single day that supports what it is that we're learning, trying to do in our lives. I learned again, reading Tony Robbins' book this morning, listening to his book. In the introduction, he says, you know that most people buy a book and they never make it past 10 pages. They never make it past 10 pages, right? That's how little concentration we have the ability to have. It's our responsibility. Those of us who meet every freaking week to do this and read every single day to do whatever it is that we have a definite major purpose set on. We're all trying to do something. It's our responsibility to share that with the world. Because it's in our purpose statement. We have the power to change the world. If we just choose to take it in our own little ways. Let's make it happen, right? Guys,
I think
I've
it's
got
in the Frank though, it's in the being, not the doing.
yeah, it is in the being.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
and when
a lot of us
when
want
you
it to be in the doing, but it's not in the doing. It's in the being.
it's in the being. And Michael, I think I know what you mean by that. Why don't you share what you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is that what Olivier was saying was beautiful, and it's the but it's and what you're talking about, like people should be reading, but it's like the world wants to follow you because of your example, not because of your direction,
I love it.
right?
Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying that because you're
Leadership is
right.
not about telling me what to do.
Yeah. Show
Right,
me.
leadership is being about the person who's guiding me through, like who's guiding themselves and therefore me through the process, right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is never, and I think a lot of the time, especially in the information and coaching style businesses and all these things that people are doing, we get into a I'm the professor slash philosopher, slash stern parent kind of brand and hero. and we're telling people what to do. I am just as guilty of that as anybody else. And I have found that when I'm sharing my journey and my decisions along that journey, it's a far more effective way of creating connection than me dictating terms.
Yeah. And the vision that just came to mind when you were saying those words, Michael, is be the light. You know what? If you go into a dark room, you have a flashlight. And if you're guiding people with the light. So we need to be the light. We need to live the principles, live the things that we're talking about here today. Show the example. So when somebody says, Michael, how are you successful you're so successful at business. How are you doing that? Well, these are the daily activities that I do.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And so what are you doing? And what can they do? They can do the same thing. As a matter of fact, I think it was in one of Napoleon's writings. He says, people, you can show people what you can be a success and give him every bit of money that you have from that success to the person next to you. Say, here, it's yours. All you have to do is continue to do every day what I've done for the last 50 years. And most of the people won't accept the money because they're not willing to do that work. They're not willing to do what you did to get there. But we need to set the example. We need to be the light. We need to show what needs to be done. Thank you. Olivier, we're going to wrap it with you. Go.
Yes, thank you. I just want to add one information. We are selling ourselves, and that's very important because we are leading by example, but also we are selling information. So people are in need for the person that apply the principle are example, but people also are in need for information. So this also is very important, selling the information. This is what I want to add. Thank you.
Thank you. And Phil says that's the reason he wants to see the movie The Odyssey. Just saying. Yeah, I'm with you, Phil. We should have an online Odyssey like viewing party or something, right? Okay, guys, that's our hour for today. Thank you so much for showing up. You showed up not only for everyone out there, but you showed up for yourself. The replay will be up later on this evening, and I will see you all next week. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
So,
Hey, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
take care.
Thank